A soft dusk settled over the quiet valley as Rowan stepped out of his small wooden cabin. The evening air was cool and gentle, carrying the faint sense of pine needles and distant streams. He closed the cabin door behind him and took a slow breath, letting the calmness of the forest wash over him. It had been a long day, but the forest always had a way of softening the edges of his thoughts. Rowan lived alone, not out of loneliness, but out of peace. The cabin had been his home for years, tucked between tall cedar trees, surrounded by moss-covered stones and a narrow, winding path that led deeper into the heart of the woods. Every evening, he took quiet walks to settle his mind before sleep, letting nature guide his thoughts into stillness. Tonight felt no different, yet something in the air seemed gentler, quieter than usual. He stepped off the small porch and felt the softness of the grass beneath his boots. The sky above him had turned a muted blue, fading slowly into the deeper shades of dusk. Thin streaks of silver clouds stretched across the horizon. Stars were beginning to appear, one by one, like tiny lanterns hanging in the sky. Rowan walked slowly toward the familiar forest path. Each step blended with the soft sounds around him, distant insects humming, leaves rustling lightly in the breeze, a quiet whisper of air drifting through the branches. The world felt slower here, as if time itself respected the stillness of the forest. As he entered the trees, the air shifted. The scent of pine grew stronger, mixing with the cool earthiness of moss and fallen leaves. The canopy overhead caught the deepening moonlight, breaking it into soft, scattered patterns on the ground. Rowan walked with unhurried steps, letting his senses adjust to the peaceful rhythm of the woods. For a while he didn't think at all. His thoughts drifted softly, like clouds moving across a quiet sky. The forest had always helped him find that peaceful space in his mind, a space where he didn't have to fix, explain, or recall anything. He only needed to breathe. The path curved gently to the right, and Rowan followed it without question. He had walked this way hundreds of times, but each night felt slightly different. The forest never repeated itself. It always offered something small and new, a new rustle, a new breeze, a new shade of moonlight. He reached a small clearing bathed in pale silver light. Moss covered the ground like a soft carpet, and he sat down on it, letting his hands rest gently on the earth. The night surrounded him in quiet calm. A faint wind brushed against his face, cool and soothing. After a few moments, Rowan lay back on the moss, gazing up at the sky through the circle of treetops above him. The branches swayed gently, creating soft shadows that shifted and danced in the moonlight. His breathing began to slow, matching the quiet pulse of the forest around him. He closed his eyes for a moment, listening to the subtle, delicate sounds of the night. Far away, he could hear a faint stream. Nearby, a small animal moved softly through the leaves. Everything blended together in a gentle, natural harmony. Even his heartbeat seemed to fall into rhythm with it. When he opened his eyes again, he noticed a narrow path branching off from the clearing, a path smaller than the main one. He didn't remember seeing it before, though it might have always been there. It glowed faintly under the moonlight, almost inviting him. With a deep breath, Rowan stood up and followed that smaller path. The ground beneath him felt softer here, covered with layers of old leaves and patches of cool soil. The air grew slightly colder as he walked, carrying the distant sound of water. Soon he reached the stream he had heard earlier. Moonlight slid across its surface like liquid silver, reflecting gently off the moving water. Rowan crouched down at the edge and dipped his fingers into the cool stream. The sensation grounded him instantly. The fresh, clear water washed away the last bits of tension from his day. He sat on a smooth stone and listened. The stream's gentle rhythm filled the silence, carrying his thoughts into deeper calm. He closed his eyes and let the sound drift around him, soft and steady. It reminded him of quiet nights from his childhood, the kind where he fell asleep to the sound of rain tapping softly on the roof. After some time, Rowan rose again, continuing along the edge of the stream. The path here was almost hidden, covered with moss and small plants. He stepped gently, not rushing, letting the forest guide him on its own time. Eventually he saw something glowing ahead, a soft, warm light, not bright or sharp, but calm, like a lantern hidden among the trees. When he approached, he realized it wasn't a lantern at all. It was a cluster of tiny white flowers glowing faintly from within. He knelt beside them, watching their soft light shimmer like moonlit breath. Carefully, Rowan touched one of the petals. It felt smooth, warmer than he expected, almost alive. A subtle fragrance drifted into the air, calming, sweet, restful. He inhaled deeply. The scent filled him with a warm heaviness, the kind that made his shoulders relax and his thoughts soften. He sat down beside the flowers, letting the glow wash over him. For a long moment he simply sat there, breathing. The glowing flowers swayed gently with the breeze, as if nodding to him. The forest around him grew even quieter. The stream's rhythm slowed and blended with the night. Everything seemed softer, deeper, calmer. He leaned back against a tree trunk, closed his eyes halfway, and allowed his mind to drift gently. Thoughts came and went like distant ripples on water. Nothing demanded his attention. Nothing felt heavy. This place, this moment, felt like a sanctuary built just for him. He remembered small moments of his life, sitting by the fireplace, listening to soft music, walking through fields at sunrise, the warmth of a morning cup of tea. These memories blended with the quiet night, creating a warm haze of comfort around him. The glow of the flowers reflected faintly off his hands. He watched the light flicker softly, like a heartbeat of the forest itself. His breathing grew slower, deeper, blending perfectly with the natural rhythm around him. Rowan lay back gently on the soft moss. The ground welcomed him, supporting him like a natural bed. The air around him grew warmer, as if the forest had wrapped him in a gentle blanket of calm. His eyes half closed, and everything softened, the trees, the stream, the glow. His thoughts drifted like clouds. He felt his body grow heavier, sinking comfortably into the moss. His chest rose and fell in long, slow breaths. The glow of the flowers dimmed slightly, becoming softer and softer. The night wrapped him in peace. The forest whispered to him in rustles and quiet breaths. The stream hummed its gentle lullaby. Rowan allowed his eyes to finally close. His last waking thought was simple and warm, that he had found a place where his mind could rest completely. And with that gentle thought, he drifted slowly and deeply into sleep. Tonight, this is enough. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this peaceful story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more calming bedtime tales. Good night, Sparkles.